The Don Pacifico affair was a moment of gunboat diplomacy which occurred during 1850 and concerned the governments of newly created Greece and the United Kingdom. The affair is named after David Pacifico, a British national born in Gibraltar. Pacifico was a Sephardic Jew of Italian descent. His grandfather was born in Italy and eventually settled down in Gibraltar. His family had been expelled from Spain with the rest of the Jews in 1492. His ancestors reached Italy, particularly Tuscany, first Leghorn and then Florence. As Pacifico grew up in Portugal because of his father's work, he learned to speak fluent Portuguese. As a liberal living in Portugal during the Civil War of 1828 and 1834, he was persecuted by the Miguelists. In 1835, after the war, he was rewarded by the victorious Liberals with a consulship in Morocco and Portuguese citizenship. From 1837 to 1842, he served as Consul General in Athens, which during that time he also engaged in commerce and became prominent in the local Jewish community. The dispute began in 1847 after the house of Jewish former Portuguese Consul General to Greece, David Pacifico, better known as Don Pacifico, who had been dismissed from his consulship due to exceeding his authority repeatedly during 1842, but who continued to reside in Athens, was attacked and vandalized by a mob that included the sons of a government minister, while police, according to Pacifico's claims, watched and neglected to intervene. James Mayer de Rothschild had been visiting Athens during the Orthodox Christian Easter to discuss a possible loan, and the city government decided to ban the traditional custom of burning the effigy of Judas, thinking that Rothschild might be offended by the tradition. Some of the Greek population in Athens, angered at the cancellation of their customs, protested before the house of the Portuguese Consul General. It was claimed by Pacifico that the crowd was infiltrated by the police and that among its inciters was one or more sons of the Minister of War. 3 days after the incident, Don Pacifico himself wrote a complaint to Sir Edmund Lyons, the British minister who had full power to take independent action against Greece and its people. It is clear that Don Pacifico was a man of many activities. He had been the Portuguese Consul General in Athens until 1842 and had possession of the legislation's archive. He had previously been Portuguese Consul General in Morocco. He was also concerned actively with the Jewish community in Athens, was in possession of money intended to build a synagogue in Athens, and his house was the very house in which the chief of the Regency Council of King Otto, Count Joseph Ludwig von Armansperg, had lived during the Regency and as Arch-Secretary to the King. In 1847, Lyons informed the Foreign Office in London that he had notified the Greek government for compensation for Don David Pacifico, for loss of possessions, including documents relating to a substantial claim against the Portuguese government for monies owed. The British Foreign Secretary Lord Palmerston advised Lyons to have Pacifico compile an itemised valuation of his losses, and if his statement was proven by satisfactory evidence, to present a note to the Greek Minister of Foreign Affairs requiring him to direct that the sum be paid to Don Pacifico. Pacifico complied on 1848, and Lyons duly dispatched a demand for payment to M. Drossos Mansolas, the Greek Minister for Foreign Affairs. He also wrote to M. Constantine Kolokotronis, the Prime Minister. Kolokotronis rejected Pacifico's claims, with the same objections used by his predecessor in office, M. Koletas. The objections of the Greek government were that the claimed damages were impossibly great. On August 31st, 1848, David Pacifico again wrote to Lyons, mentioning that 16 months had passed since the incident and that he was not satisfied. Moreover, he had been forced to abandon his house during the Easter celebrations of 1848, and he drew to the attention of Lyons that several years earlier 2 Jews had been massacred at Patras, and likewise the synagogue at Negroponte had been burned down. After additional exchanges of letters among all the parties, Don David Pacifico appealed again to the British government to obtain the settlement of his claims. On December 3rd, 1849, Lord Palmerston had decided to take definitive action to settle the problems caused by the Greek people. He had made King Otto and his government stop payments for the loan of 1832, which was the initial Rothschild loan to create Greece as a country. Palmerston communicated with Sir Thomas Wise, the British minister in Athens. On January the 22nd, 1850, Admiral Sir William Parker reported that all the vessels of the Greek government and people had been detained and banned from being used as a fine for causing trouble. The French minister was encouraging King Otto to resist and made the matter worse. King Otto and the Greek people had been thoroughly humiliated by the British for bothering Don Pacifico. The affair caused considerable damage to the reputation of King Otto in Athens. The blockade lasted 2 months, and the affair ended when King Otto and the government agreed to compensate Pacifico. Don Pacifico was awarded the sum of £150 owed by the Greek people and thus government, along with a total of 120,000 drachmas and £500 in the